A crucial question. How can we avoid so much trouble if we do not look to see what others say or do, but only focus on our own business? That is what Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations. More than 2,000 years ago, this powerful Roman emperor warned about distraction. He could not have imagined that today our neighbors would be billions of people always sitting neatly in our pockets. Have you ever measured how many times you touch your phone each day? The average number in America is 144 touches, more than 4 hours and 37 minutes on screen. What does each swipe steal? Our focus, our time, or our freedom itself? In this video, we will learn how to use the lessons of Marcus Seneca and Epictetus to regain control of our minds. This is not just my story. It could also be yours. 3 months ago, I woke up every morning to the phone alarm and then swiped down to turn it off and unconsciously scrolled through email, Instagram, TikTok. The habit repeated 180 times a day. Every 5 minutes, I would open the phone. Altogether, I spent 7.5 hours a day on the screen, more than my sleep time. Ironically, I was reading Meditations. I was seeking peace, but only a few pages in my hand touched the phone again. Marcus once asked himself, what is the most precious thing to human beings? It is the ability to direct attention. I realized I had lost it, and I am not alone. 75% of Americans check their phones within 5 minutes of waking up. About 70% feel anxious when the battery drops below 20%. 69% have texted someone sitting in the same room. Digital addiction makes us less focused, more anxious, and sleep worse. That condition is called nomophobia. To regain freedom, I challenged myself for 90 days, applying Stoic disciplines Prosoche, mindful attention, negative visualization, imagining loss to nurture gratitude, nightly self-reflection, voluntary endurance of technological absence, and a cosmic perspective, view from above. The challenge felt like a psychological operation. It completely changed how I lived. Next, I will go through each discipline with you. Each part includes real stories, specific exercises, and even scientific evidence, so that these ancient philosophies become alive in the life of 2025. Prosoche, discipline of mindful attention. In Greek, prosoche means attention poured into a target. This is the core of Stoicism, directing attention to the present, tracking every impression and action, ensuring they align with reason and virtue. Philosopher Pierre Hadot once reminded that many people do not truly live because they are pulled back to the past or the future. Only the present brings freedom. Mindfulness teaches us to observe without judgment, but Prosoche goes further. It demands ethical action. When feeling angry because of a negative comment, Prosoche makes us ask, does this anger help me live better? Can I respond with restraint and understanding? I turned Prosoche into a small ritual, the Aurelius pause. Whenever I was about to pick up the phone, I paused and asked myself 3 questions. Is this within my control? Will this action help me live ethically? And am I avoiding a difficult thing? Remind myself that notifications algorithms or the number of likes are all outside of our control. Only our reactions and choices belong to us. Within 1 week, with a card listing 3 questions placed next to the phone, the number of times I opened it nearly halved. No need to force. Just a few seconds of thought broke the unconscious habit. To help myself maintain focus, I also use tools from 2025, such as Apple's Focus Mode and Google's Digital Well-being, to filter notifications and limit app time. I put the phone into a pretty wooden box when dining with family to avoid being distracted. After a few meals, conversations became lively. People told more, laughed more. Time together was no longer interrupted by ping sounds. Distinguishing what we can control. Epictetus begins the Enchiridion with a reminder Some things are within our power, some are not. It is important that we realize the phone is not bad. Our relationship to it is what matters. To train this, Seneca advises us to imagine loss in advance. The technique of premeditatio malorum. I spend a few minutes each day imagining losing my phone for a week. No email, no messages, no GPS. At first I was scared, but then I realized I was still okay when I returned to reality. Because of that, I appreciated offline time more and no longer panicked when I lost my connection. Another story from Los Angeles. Lisa, a TikTok user for 4.5 hours per day, tried deleting the app for a week. On the first day, she feared missing out. By the third day, she replaced the free time with reading Letters from a Stoic. By the fifth day, she rediscovered a love of drawing. When she reinstalled TikTok, she spent only 30 minutes per day and selected educational content. It turns out freedom lies in the ability to choose a reaction rather than forcing ourselves to control the world. True freedom comes when we stop giving value to things beyond our control. Imagine two concentric circles. A small one in the center holds our thoughts, feelings, and actions. The outer circle holds notifications, praise, and criticism. We should place our energy only in the central circle. Nightly reflection. Seneca wrote to Lucilius, "I will always observe myself review each day." It is because no one looks back over their own life that we become depraved. I carry a notebook and each night put pen to paper. Writing by hand helps me ponder more slowly than typing. The questions I ask myself include, did I use my phone for a purpose today? When was it unconscious use? What triggered it? Who did I talk to directly? What did I do to develop myself? The journal pages gradually revealed patterns. I often open the phone when stressed or lonely. From there, I practice breathing deeply, walking instead of holding the phone. Science also supports reflection. The Cleveland Clinic affirms that digital detox and self-monitoring behavior help improve focus, reduce stress, and increase relationship quality. These habits turn philosophy into action, knowing oneself, correcting oneself every day. Voluntary endurance. Seneca advises practicing poverty a few days each month, wearing coarse clothes to see, is this something we fear? In the digital era, the fear is the lack of connection. I challenged myself a morning without a phone to meals, without screens, a day without social networks, and even a week without entertainment apps. In the mornings, I leave my phone outside the bedroom and use an alarm clock. The first hour of the day is devoted to meditation, yoga, or reading. The mind is clearer, no longer flooded by news. At meals, the whole family puts phones into a box. At first, there is some awkward silence, but then the conversation becomes deeper. Every Sunday, I do not use social media. Instead, I go on outings, cook, read, play guitar. A week without Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram made me realize I had more time to be creative, and the phantom vibrations gradually disappeared. Studies from the Cleveland Clinic confirm pausing devices helps increase focus, reduce stress, and improve relationships. Through experience, I also saw deeper sleep, less anxiety, and simple joys returning. Cosmic perspective. Marcus advises, think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what is left and live it properly. He practiced the view from above, imagining looking down at the world from space. When I close my eyes and imagine myself as an astronaut flying into space, seeing the Earth as just a small sphere floating, I find the little things, unread messages, likes, suddenly meaningless. I also try to imagine lying in a hospital bed at age 90 looking back. Would I regret not scrolling enough, or regret not spending time with my family or creative projects Those reflections prompt me to reallocate my time. Carl Sagan, looking at the pale blue dot, reminded that every joy, sorrow, success, and failure of humanity lies on a tiny speck of light. Thinking of that, we will take small matters less seriously and appreciate the present more. Results and transformation. After 90 days applying these disciplines, the time I spent on screen dropped from 7.5 hours to just 90 minutes per day. The number of times I opened the phone from 180 down to 25. I slept deeper, no longer staying up late scrolling. My ability to focus tripled. I could read and write for hours without being urged to check notifications. Family meals were no longer interrupted. We talked and laughed more. Internally, I felt peaceful, less anxious, and full of creativity. More important than the numbers, I learned self-management. The phone was no longer a master. It returned to being a tool. I used technology with purpose, listening to books via Audible learning languages via Duolingo, taking notes on Notion, and keeping in touch with family. I set time limits for apps, turned on focus mode when working, and used an alarm clock instead. As a result, I did not let the algorithm drive me. Now I want to reveal to you the 4-week detailed roadmap. In the first 4 weeks, I built a specific system of habits. Week 1. Each time I opened the phone, I applied the Aurelius pause and recorded my usage time via screen time or digital well-being. I kept a journal about my feelings each time I held the phone and gradually identified the causes. Week 2. I set boundaries the first hour of the day without touching the phone, meals, without devices, choosing an analog activity like reading, drawing, or playing music. I turned on focus mode during working hours to avoid notifications. Week 3. I tried a completely offline day, usually Sunday. Each day I practiced negative visualization, spending 5 minutes imagining losing my phone to nurture gratitude and reduce FOMO. I made an effort to meet friends, join outdoor activities, and journal about my emotions. Week 4. I engaged in deep reflection, documenting in detail useful and useless phone time, positive and negative feelings. I wrote a digital constitution, a set of personal rules about how to use technology. For example, only spending 30 minutes per day on social media, not using the phone after 10 p.m., not checking email on weekends unless urgent. I shared my plan with family and friends so they could support me and rewarded myself with healthy experiences upon reaching goals. By the end of 4 weeks, I had a clear system and personal philosophy about technology. The goal was not perfection, but progress. I understood how I wanted to live and how to use technology to serve that. Expanding the topic and further thoughts. Stoicism does not stop at phone control. From Prosoche, I learned that mindfulness and Prosoche differ. Mindfulness only observes without judgment, while Prosoche requires ethical action. When facing a negative comment, I do not just recognize the anger. I also have to ask which response brings virtue. I also realize the role of community. Marcus reminds us we are social animals sharing common reason. Phone addiction makes us forget the person next to us. Putting the phone down at dinner, organizing offline time to cook, play board games, or go on trips helped my family bond more. FOMO, fear of missing out, turns out to be an illusion. 75% of Americans check their phones within 5 minutes after a notification, but most of that information is unimportant. One study shows our brain takes 23 minutes to regain focus after being interrupted. Stoicism reminds me to distinguish opportunities within control, include developing skills and building relationships. Notifications and trends are outside. Technology can still be an ally if used wisely. I use Calm or Headspace to meditate, Audible and Kindle to read on the go, Notion to take notes. apps like Freedom or Forest help block social media when working. Wearables like the Apple Watch summarize notifications, avoiding constant interruption. The important thing is to use technology as a tool rather than letting it control us. Stoicism is also the story of many other thinkers. Musonius Rufus, Epictetus's teacher, emphasized that living simply and practicing ethics is more important than theory. Zeno of Citium, founder of Stoicism, lost everything when his merchant ships sank, but saw that as the chance to come to philosophy. These stories inspire me about self-control and mental preparation for every event. Imagine a world where each person only pays attention to what they control, thoughts, feelings, actions, and does not get drawn by notifications. That world starts with you. After watching this video, try putting your phone aside during dinner. Look into the eyes of your loved ones and listen to their stories. Before going to sleep, write a few lines about your feelings. If you want to go deeper, you can join the 30-day Stoic challenge I suggest in the description. Share your experience in the comments. I really want to hear your story. We do not oppose technology. We live in a wonderful era, and technology can serve us in amazing ways. But this journey is about reclaiming the mind using technology with wisdom and compassion. Just as Marcus Aurelius used his power with humility and reason. At this point, surely we all realize the philosophy of freedom. Finally, Stoic philosophy is not just a collection of good sayings. It is a lived lifestyle. Marcus Aurelius, though emperor, reflected on himself every night. Seneca, though wealthy, still experienced poverty to train his will. Epictetus, though a slave and lame, still became one of the greatest philosophers. In 2025, the world has smartphones, social networks, artificial intelligence. But human nature is unchanged. We seek happiness, freedom, and inner peace. When we understand that happiness is not on the screen, but in how we manage the mind, we do not need to renounce technology completely. Just reboot our way of living. Choose what is important. Practice Prosoche to stay aware. The discipline of desire to know what we control. Reflection to know ourselves. Voluntary discomfort to train. And view from above to stay humble. Begin today, for life does not wait. Thank you for spending the time watching. If you find the video useful, share it with friends and family to build a mindful and compassionate community. I wish you a Stoic journey full of meaning. Don't forget to hit follow on the Stoicism Reforged channel, like, share, and leave your own reflections in the comments. We will be very grateful for each of your actions, and that is also a great encouragement for us to continue perfecting every day.